Hi YouTube, Tamara here, and we are starting our Camp NaNoWriMo wrap-up video. Woo! Introduce yourselves, everyone.
I guess I'll go first.
And I'm going to share the link.
Okay, there you go. Well, for sharing the link, I will say I'm Amy. I talk about writing in fashion, and my book is about the Japanese mafia, which is dreadfully fun to write.
Hello, my name is Burgess Taylor, and I'm a blogger and I write.
I can't hear anyone.
Very normal, and I am a coffee addict, and I do videos about writing and art journaling and stuff like that. You can't hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Oh.
Very can't hear.
We'll fill in the dead space. So what was your book about that you're working on?
Me?
Yeah.
I am starting Julia Cameron's The Right to Write on Monday. Actually, tomorrow. I'm starting it tomorrow. Tomorrow's the first, but so I'm going to do the introduction part, and then I actually start the writing part on Monday. It has 43 or 40 different exercises. It's not broken into the 12-week self-guided course like the Artist Way was.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm going to do that. It's really good. So, I mean, I checked into some of the reviews and stuff like that, and I realized when I did the Artist Way that was just kind of touching the surface. I think it'll really help with some of the self-doubt and the thinking that you have to write a certain way. Like when we read other people's books, they're already edited. Somebody's already proofread, somebody's been a beta reader and a critique, you know, they've already been through all of that. An editor's gotten a hold of it. So we're seeing the finished version. We're not seeing that rough draft. So we're more critical of our own work because what we're looking at initially is our rough draft. So I think part of that stems from fear, that whole self-doubt, which leads to procrastination and all of that good stuff that people call writer's block. So I'm trying to get rid of some of that so that when I sit down to write, I don't have that sitting. Okay? So I don't have that sitting like right in the back of my mind on my shoulders going, hey, you suck, that chapter's horrible, just get rid of it, you know?
Yeah, I know that. Like, oh, this is horrible. Just don't even bother writing this. Just go fix it later. Forget about it. That's why with my last chapter, like, it's always been horrible, and it's always been horrible, and it's like I give it to my editor on Monday, and it's all like, oh, I can't keep that horrible chapter there, can I? It has barely changed since, like, the first draft, that last chapter, because I'm like, this is just bad, just fix it.
I'm trying to because I used to write all the time when I was younger, and I didn't have all this. But I spent so much time away from writing fiction. I wrote poetry because I was in a different place, and I wrote poetry like every day. I had a massive amount of poetry, and I was really good poetry, but I'm out of that like part because. And I want to get back into the fiction, so I spent the last few years trying to get back into finding my voice and finding like my niche and what works for me. And it's hard when you've been away from it for a really long time because then you chill. I think maybe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe it's just me. So I figured I was a communications writing. Literature, creative writing major, and I had thought about majoring in written communications or English or literature, creative writing, something before I dropped out. I finished. I'm like a year and a half away from having a bachelor's, but I thought, I got into that whole doubt yourself, and decided to switch to psychology.
Hmm.
And then, so I learned more about myself, which, I don't know, maybe hindered. But now, over the last few years, I've built up this thing for myself where I finally have kind of figured out what really works for me, what I enjoy, so that I can actually outline and enjoy the process, but not so much so that, excuse me, not so much so that I end up suffocated by my outline. Because at heart, I'm a pantser, but pantsing doesn't work completely for me.
Yeah.
With that, the middle just, I end up stuck.
Yeah.
So a lot of this, the artist way and stuff like that, it's been part of like I don't want to call it a self-help thing, but in a way, it's a self-help for my creativity. Because it's helped more than just my writing. It's actually helped my art and just living a little bit more of a creative life in general. Like finding other things outside of just writing. Like I'm taking more pictures. I'm, listening to more music. I'm doing things outside of just like writing that are creative.
Yeah, I think when you're trying to write, it's those experiences you get that you can really pull from, and just being surrounded by art kind of draws you into artisticness. I think that's why I like my fashion so much, just because there's something artistic with the designers creating this, and you get to get all dressed up, and it's kind of like a fantasy, and that to me is really important because I just like it, but also because it sparks creativity because you're like, I don't know, playing dress up all the time.
Your outfits, some of them are very creative, very artsy, and they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. I love. There's a coat that you have that I would absolutely love to have. I couldn't on a regular basis wear fancy clothes because I don't go anywhere like that.
Oh no, I go to the store and I just wear that. I'm like, I want to be fabulous wherever I go.
I live in a small town, and I'm not so sure how all that would go.
I did it when I was in the small town time. To me, it's like I wear them so much that they become my normal clothes. Like this is what I usually wear. So we'll just we'll continue while Tamara is trying to fix that. Oh, we should I guess we should say if you want to ask us questions, use the hashtag write stuff, and we will see that, which is hashtag and then write WRIGHTSTUFF, and we can see that and answer any questions you have about writing or passion or journaling or coffee for Burgess. I won't be able to answer any questions about coffee. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm looking for. Are you on Twitter to see if people are asking questions?
I just posted the link, so I was just offering if anybody was watching and they happen to want to ask us, that would be the place to ask us.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
All right, great. I can hear you too.
And I sent out all the links and stuff for you.
You can change which.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you mean?
We'll make a point that we had no technical difficulties like a few minutes before, and now see, instead of usually it happens before we start, and this time it happened during. And now see, instead of usually it happens. But Tamara, I already did all the links and stuff for you, so you're all good.
Okay, great, thanks.
But I already did all the links and stuff for you, so you're all good. Is there some background noise coming from someone?
Something was sounding weird. It's like.
There you go. Now it sounds fine.
Yeah.
Are we together? I think we're with it now.
Yeah, now I can hear you guys. So
awesome.
That's cool.
Burgess was talking about her new, what is it called again? The book?
Right.
Yeah, she was talking about doing that project. We were talking about sparking creativity and trying to find like creativity throughout your life, and I talked about how my passion kind of sparks that creative spark with me.
Oh, so what sparks my creative spark? I don't know. I don't know if I have a thing, like
Poetry.
a go-to thing that. What's that? Poetry? I mean, I guess
Poetry.
so. But I really think of my poetry as like a way that I like exercise my creativity, but it doesn't really spark it.
No? Music?
Sometimes I like listening to music, and sometimes music or looking at artwork or whatever will kind of get me going, but I don't have a one go-to thing, I guess.
You're not like
I don't
me
have
when
like
you
a
go to concert, and then you think, oh look, we can skip that guy with that guy, and inspiration.
For me, it's a bunch of things. It's not one thing. But I've noticed that the more creative I am with different things, that's what I was talking about. I'm taking more pictures now. I'm drawing more. I'm doing different things that spark that creativity. And more than it's not just with my writing. And the more that I do the other things, the more creative I am with my writing. Or the more inspired and motivated I am to write.
Mm-hmm.
It's like exercising your art in other places helps you to focus in on your writing. I get that.
I don't feel so like cornered. Sometimes I feel like all I ever do is write. So taking a break from things and getting out to smell the roses, sometimes literally, helps me feel less cornered. Like, okay, well, there are other things in life other than the writing. Yes, the writing is extremely important, but if I only do that, then I'm going to get burned out. And I don't want to end up in that burned out state again.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of advice on doing that, on having more than just your writing that you rely on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it makes sense. Or even just taking a break and going to do something else. Like the other night, I was trying so hard to just finish the Camp NaNoWriMo. I think I had 1,900 words, and I couldn't. It's like my brain just would not function. I couldn't think of words, and I was just staring at the screen and staring and staring and staring until finally I got up and I started cleaning my kitchen. And I was just like, all right, just go and do anything so that you're not staring at a screen anymore. So I was like cleaning my kitchen, and then about 20 minutes later, I was like, oh. And then I went and wrote maybe 500 words, and then I could finally go to sleep.
Like, I'll just have my character clean their kitchen.
What did happen? I think that they ended up going to this old couple's. They're like some old hippies that live in the back of the woods. They ended up going to their house.
Mm-hmm. Find some witnesses.
You know, Willow and Thunder, they call themselves.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Willow and Thunder. Oh, it's so ridiculous. Bye, sweetie. Thank you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Aww.
He was
That's
all
so
like,
sweet.
He was like,
You talk about the importance of having people support you in your writing endeavors.
or your Google Hangout tragedies.
Which is quite true.
I don't know, somehow the setting on this thing got changed, and the setting for the speakers was like on a mic or something. I don't know how that happened. I don't understand how that worked. But whatever. So if anyone's watching and you have any questions or comments, tweet them out at #WriteStuff.
Hmm.
And
Should should we go and talk about how our NaNoWriMos went since it's the last day?
Sure.
Sure, okay. I'll make you go first.
Me? All right.
Sure.
Well, this month, first of all, I did not make weekly videos. And a couple things happened, one of which I had the conference on the weekend and I didn't feel like editing, and then I've been doing #FicFest, which is basically where you're submitting your manuscript, pretty much like a query letter and first chapter, to some potential mentors to try to get you ready to submit to an agent. And before that, I did another thing where I was trying to submit to an agent. And I guess I've just been really wrapped up in that aspect of things, and I haven't really been doing a lot with my channel, to which I apologize to everyone, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So there's been stuff that's popped up on here every week. It just hasn't been a wrap-up. So I've recorded things. So once this laptop, for whatever reason, the editing software, of course, isn't working. So when he is not using his laptop, then I will make a compilation of the last 3 weeks. But so because I've been kind of concentrating on book 1, I haven't written as much consistently on book 2. So I did hit the 30K mark, which was my goal. I did that, but I was writing a lot the first week and a half, but I kind of was hit or miss after that. But I hit my goal. So that was cool.
So I guess I'll go next. I have yet to hit my goal. I was doing editing, and I wanted to edit all like 50 chapters of my book, and I put them in order from like worst to best. So I have 12 chapters left. I think I told everybody that I was most afraid that I would nap, and napping was my thing that would block me. And that there was a week that was basically consisting of napping and very little of anything else, unfortunately. So I want to say there was like a week where I really didn't do anything. So I am currently 12 chapters behind, but I did do a full, what is it called? A full grammar edit. Like I found someone online who's like, I'm trying to start a business, but I need people to review, so I'll edit your story for free. And I'm like, cool, here you go. I'll give this to you before I give it to my other editor, so I'll get extra editing. So she did that for me. So I went through all of her notes and did all that grammar editing, which was nice. And then she was actually really good. Her name was like Brenda. I'm sorry. I'll figure out your name in just a moment. I'm sorry, person. And then I went to the writers' conference too, and then I pitched an agent, and she wanted to see the query and synopsis. So I sent that, but that wasn't that big of a deal. But it's just trying to get those last few chapters. Like there just seems to just not be enough time, since there is that week where I kind of didn't do too much because I wasn't feeling it. Just exhausted. So I have 12 chapters left. Today I'm going to try to do the last one, which has been one that I despised, and I always told myself that I was not going to do it because I'll fix it later, and now it's to the point where I can't fix it later because I need to fix it now. So I'm going to do like the big major ones that need to be fixed, and the other ones were just small chapters that needed minor fixing that I just didn't have enough time to get to, so I'll just relax with that. And then the editor who did it for free, her name was Daniel Leakin Hannah. Hanna. She was good, so I would suggest using her if you guys wanted to.
Can you tweet out her website or something?
Sure, I will do that as soon as I figure out what it is.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
No, I did. It's fine. I did it too, so it's only fair to do it back.
So Burgess, how was your month?
I didn't enter my word count on a consistent basis on the Camp NaNoWriMo website, but I actually did pretty much. There was only like one day where I didn't But I ended camp early, and I ended it with 51,000, a little bit over 51,000 words, which was 11,000 plus over my goal. So yay! I'm almost finished with my novel. I'm not
Yes.
quite. And you know, at the very end, after I won and I printed my certificate, which is probably on the floor down there, I had like a panic attack. My daughter and I went walking, and I was like, you know, my novel sucks. There's probably no point in me finishing this thing. And I literally had like a panic attack about the novel. I started like, you know, my daughter's like, Mom, you are this close. And I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. I mean, it sucks. It sucks. There's just no point. I need to just go get a real job and just, you know. I had a panic attack. And my daughter walked me through it. She's like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. Take a day or two break from this. You know, just leave it alone. And then when you know, I'm like, maybe I should just do the other novel. She's like, just shut up kind of thing. So I started writing, and then I realized I was still in that panic attack kind of mode, and which is why I think doing the next book by Julia Cameron is probably so important, because I am at that last stage of this before I start like major editing, and I felt serious anxiety. I mean, I was literally almost hyperventilating. Because this is the first time I've been like that close in over a decade. Mm-hmm. So I took such a long hiatus from the writing that it's been a very long time since I've been at this point where I've actually had this much follow through, and a lot of that has to do with the self-doubt and the fear and stuff. It's because I took such a long time away from it that now I'm questioning my ability. And I think it's really important, you know, to I don't know, to stick with it, but I think it's more important to kind of listen to yourself and then to take a step outside of yourself at the same time. Because I can't listen to the panic attack or I'll never get this novel finished.
Yeah.
I think it's common for writers to have those kind of feelings, and there's really, like, seeing the finish line is wonderful, but it's also terrifying. Because the finish line really isn't an actual end.
Yeah.
It's like a beginning of a first new stage of whatever work that you're going to. So, like, now, once you've finished this rough draft, you're going to be doing editing, and you're going to be dealing with beta readers, and, like, all of this new stuff. It's like now you're going to have a whole different learning curve, which I totally understand, because Amy heard me say a lot of the same stuff when I started editing this novel. I was like, oh God, what have I done? This is awful. Why? And she's like, no, calm down, it's okay.
Editing's a good thing. There's always another draft.
And I was like, no.
So I admit, like, after in May, I'm starting the third draft of my second book, and I'm just kind of like, oh my, this draft, like, this book is so horrible right now. But I always tell myself, like, I can fix it. Like, the one I'm writing right now, I think I'm technically on draft 9. I'm very much like go through each draft very quickly and just get as much done as you can. So usually I give myself one day to do each chapter, and then whatever I don't finish that day, that's just what it is. And just move on from there. You can fix it in the next draft. So I try to go very quickly, that way I don't get so hung up about, like, this sentence is, how could I make this sentence or this paragraph awesome? Or if I get caught up on something that's really bad, I don't have time to focus on it. I just tell myself I'll fix it later and just move on. So that helps me not get so trapped with, like, this is so horrible, I can't do anything, I can't write. It's like, I'll fix it later. Move on.
That's probably a way healthier way to think of it than I do. But it's okay though. You know, I think that what helps me to get through all of this weird stuff is just having someone else to talk about it who gets it.
Yeah.
So anyone who's watching, if you don't have a writing buddy, you should find one because it's helpful.
You know what's awesome? There's a Facebook group called Write Stuff, isn't there? Where they could go, and if they don't have a writing buddy, they could join that group, and there'll be a whole supportive round of people there. Right, Tamara?
You know,
I've heard of this group.
other than Write Stuff, I don't have a writing buddy. Write Stuff is pretty much my writing buddy.
Yeah, and then
because I don't actually have a writing buddy.
Yeah, and then if you don't like the Facebook thing, like Facebook's not for you, and you're on Twitter and you like the birds and like to tweet, we do that every Tuesday at 8 Central. So that's another group you can hang out with if you don't have a writing buddy. Just FYI, people out there, you need to know.
So much better at self-promotion than I am.
Yeah, it was there. You put yourself on a silver platter, and you're like, not like eating the food. I'm like, oh my, here, let me help you.
You poor thing.
Yes, let me help her out.
I appreciate it because I was not going to think of it.
Like I said, I think I read Write Publishers Pete, and they said like this is like asking people if they want dessert. So I always like to have dessert, so anytime I can like become a waiter, and I'm like, hey, you like this, you like writing, so you obviously would like to know more about writing. So here is, would you like to see our dessert? We have all of this nice writing stuff besides this YouTube stuff. So eat our dessert, which is Facebook and Twitter.
They're
Delicious.
distractions. They're delicious distractions.
Yes. No calories, too. We have no calorie desserts.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Let's see. So anyway, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, how did your Camp NaNoWriMo go? Please tweet it to us at #WriteStuff. We'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to check the hashtag right now and see if anyone said anything. Is there anybody out there? I don't see anything at the moment.
So
Well,
did
it says 7 people are watching.
yeah. Did you guys keep like did you write every day, or did you do like word count goal for each day, or how did you guys decide how to split up your Camp NaNoWriMo day?
Well, since my goal was 30,000, I was going for having a word count goal, a daily word count goal of 1,000 per day. However, it didn't quite work out that way because in the beginning, I just wrote a crap ton of words, and I went with it. You know, wasn't gonna stop me from the writing. Okay, great. If that's what you want to do, we'll go with it. Word?
Yeah, I had.
I'm sorry.
Go on. There's like
It froze.
it's plague
It
somewhere.
froze, and I was trying to make sure that it wasn't gonna like.
Freeze on ya? Yeah,
Well, it froze.
I do, what did I do? I did like, I think most days I did 1 or 2 chapter editing, so, but most of the time it was 2 because there was 50 chapters and there's only 30 days in the month, so a lot of it was 2 chapters a day of just editing, which got carried away. Like I said, it was very minute, like, oh, I need to change, like, I repeated this part too much. So I was doing really detailed stuff, which takes longer than you think it does, and all that jazz.
I wrote. My goal was to write at least 500 words a day. My hope was to write 2,000 words a day. So I figured anything in between there, because technically, in order to win Camp NaNoWriMo, I had to write at least a little bit over 1,300 words a day. So I figured I'd average out, some days would be 2,000 or 3,000, some days would be 500 to like 1,000. So that was just kind of how I did it, and it averaged out pretty well because I ended up with like a 6,000 day towards the end. So
Mhm.
I did really well. I didn't do anything else really other than write. But
Oh, that's good occasionally.
Yeah.
Would
the next day
recommend.
I crashed.
Writing is a hard thing to do. I don't think people realize how hard and time consuming it can be and how draining if you spend like all day working on writing. It is a very draining mental workout.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. It's very tiring. And like when I did the write in and I was on here for, what was that, 3 hours?
Hmm.
By the time I was done, I sound like a babbling brook of stupid. Like, I was like, I'm sorry, I should probably not do this for 3 hours again. Like, my boyfriend was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I think that I'm just word drunk or something. I couldn't form complete sentences. I kept using the wrong words. I was done. I was done for the rest of the night. So, are you guys gonna
I
do
took
July?
breaks.
Are you guys gonna do July's camp?
No.
Yes,
I'm not.
I'm
I'll
not
be
sure.
rewriting.
You're right.
I'll be rewriting. That's my goal, is to do rewrites in July.
Mhm.
I need to see where Blood Roses and Honeysuckles is by July.
Mhm.
If I still need to do another rewrite, then I might work with that one for that. Or if I've actually put it to rest, or if I'm having betas going over it, then maybe I'll work more on this one and actually try to get it to the end. Because right now it's in the middle.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not. I'm just going to be working on book 2, and then there's a week in, uh, I guess it is June. There's a week in June where I am going to start writing some like fluffy short stories for my newsletter eventually. So it has to be cute and fluffy, which is new since I usually write about the mob and they're not cute and fluffy.
Why do you want to write cute and fluffy things?
Oh, 'cause I have this like idea in my head. I'm like, oh, this sounds adorable. I'll kill them off sometime. Like I know how it ends. They'll eventually all die, but I just won't put that part yet. That's what they have to do. Everybody has to die in the end. To suffer. Suffering is important.
So very dark.
Oh no, it's worse. I was reading, like, I joined a romance beta reader group, and this guy, he's like an intimidator kind of guy, so he like intimidates plus beats up people for some group. And I'm like, oh, he lives in the forest, that way he can hide the dead bodies. And it's raining so much that one day it's going to rain, and all the dead bodies are going to come up and flood into the house, and the other guy is going to freak out. And the writer's like, no! No, that is not what happens in my cute romance book. Oh, well, that's what I would do.
That's why I read Stephen King.
She took it
why I
well,
read
though,
Stephen
so.
What were you saying, Burgess?
I said that's part of why I read Stephen King.
Yeah.
The thirst for the bloody kill.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't. To me, it's not necessarily the bloody kill, because some have it and some don't. But I think it's because you step outside of your comfort zone. I mean, if in life, it would be very boring, very boring. And I read some romance, with the fluffy, sweet. Anyway, I do read some, but if that was the only thing I read, I'd be bored to tears. They're very tropey, and but not that a lot of other books aren't. But I don't. I can only handle that trope so much. The happily ever after.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it doesn't exist that very often, really. By the time you get to that point, you're actually almost too old to enjoy it anyway. So, But I mean, I think it just. I want a little bit more realistic. I need some in what I'm reading. Because it's not going to hold my interest. So the best way to hold my interest is to have a little mystery, a little suspense. Somebody's going to die. Maybe somebody's going to come back to life. I don't know, but I need a little oomph in my story.
Yeah. Like, it's fiction. You should go have fun. Like, in real life, that would be horrible. Someone being murdered or see a dead body is horrible. But it's a book. It's supposed to be an escape, something fun, something unrealistic, and that to me is what I want. I want something over the top that makes me go like, wow, this is so crazy. I would feel horrible in this situation. How is this person going to react to all this suffering? They're going to suffer more.
Let's think of something more.
Exactly. One of my favorite books and movies that have to do with Stephen King is Misery. Because in real life, if you think about it, there's this crazy, it could happen. There's this crazy lunatic fan, who didn't like the way the book ended. So she kidnapped. I mean, that book it gave me like chills, but two, I couldn't put it down. And then when you're watching the movie, you're like, oh, that was, I don't know. I like that over the top too.
I definitely, I read a huge cross section of novels, and I don't really tie myself to one different genre. And sometimes I wish I was more that way, because maybe I would read less, or or have even more of a genre that I want to write about. But I just know that I'm not going to be writing any spaghetti westerns at any point. But I can see myself writing a thriller or a mystery.
Yeah, and then so many things now are like cross genres, just because that people don't want, or some people just don't want one specific thing. They want romance with a little bit of like thrillerness or westerns, but they also want sci-fi in there. So then you get like the strange sci-fi western thing, and you're like, well, that's new, but it's fun, sci-fi fantasy. So I think a lot of people crave kind of like a different, like a twist on the genre.
Mm-hmm. Just for example, this is how crazy my reading is. Well, Finders Keepers, I'm not going to lean way up out of my chair to get it, because I'm actually reading that one. So I just got this one in. That's science fiction. That's an older one. That's a trilogy into one book. Piers Anthony. And then I have Meluse's Triple Moon, which has that little tiny short story in the back of it that explains what happened Witches of East End.
Yeah.
Because it left on a cliffhanger. And I haven't read the other two books in the series, but I read that short story in the back of this. So now I have to get the other two books, or 3 books. And then this is T.A. Barron, and this is fantasy, and it is the 5th book in the Merlin series. So this is The Wings of Merlin. So I've got, I guess this is young adult or like new adult.
Yeah.
Right, and then I've got science fiction, fantasy, and young adult, new adult. And then whatever Stephen King's book is, because he crosses genres.
Let me see. I have a lot of different things.
So
I used to read a lot more like literature from old dead guys. And
I do. I read one too.
yeah, like, and my favorite author is Marcel Proust, and like, I made a joke today about Rousseau, so I don't know how many people would would go with that, but Rousseau's fun to joke about. But I'm trying to read more contemporary stuff now, just to, I guess, feel it better, because I'm like, oh, let's see what new authors are like. I remember I was talking, because at this conference she got to pitch to an agent, and she's like, what writer do you want to be like? Or who do you want to be like? I wanted to be like, oh, I want to be like Marcel Proust. I'm like, she's going to look at me like I'm crazy. And I had to like throw something out there because I'm like, everybody I know is dead. Everybody I really like has died. So yeah, I try to read more contemporary stuff recently, and I just got done with a big romance series that I kind of skipped over the making out. I don't think you guys make out too much, so I skipped over parts. And then sometimes I think romances, they feel kind of stalkery sometimes, or at least the male-female ones I've read, because they can't look at each other without thinking how much they're like beautiful or something. And it just seems very like, can't you guys like you're being chased by a monster? You guys need to focus on other things besides how cute her hair is when she flips it or something.
I like I'm a big fan of Bradbury. I'm a big fan of Vonnegut. I'm actually a fan of Hemingway, but he's not my favorite.
You don't want to read about drunk fishermen?
That's not. I don't really. That one is okay.
I had to read that for school, and I'm like,
Not
it's
really.
about a drunk fisherman, and oh my.
Yeah. But I love Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I used to in high school and in my 20s Shakespeare just for fun. I've taken a bit of a break from it now because I've gotten into so much other stuff, but I've been thinking about going back to it once I finish this novel and I finish when I go to take my break.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not trying, I can read lightweight novels like when I'm writing, but if I like literary stuff, then I can't do a bunch of other things. My ADHD won't allow me to do multiple things when I'm reading something like that. So I have to concentrate on that. Because it's a different kind of level.
Yeah. Oh, Jasmine on Twitter just #WriteStuff tweeted at us, and she says that she passed her writing goal of 50 to do 5,000 words from her poetry project. So congratulations, Jasmine, for getting your word goal in, and she's planning for July's camp. So yay for her. I think she talked to us with a few of these Write Stuff things, if I remember correctly.
Yes, she did talk about her poetry and what she's planning on doing with it.
Yeah,
so that's really excited.
That means she's a super fan, and everybody else needs to get on the ball. Come on, be like Jasmine. She's cool.
Be like Jasmine. Let's see. Actually, I went to see a Midsummer Night's Dream. What was that? February. Yeah, it was a Valentine's Day thing that the boyfriend and I went to see at a theater here, and it was really cool. So I love that play with Shakespeare. I love it, but I hadn't seen it performed live before, and it was really interesting to watch. That was cool. And when I was studying journalism, I was really, really, really into Hunter S. Thompson. I was just fascinated by him. I wanted to be able to write like him. But now, as I'm a little older, I'm not sure if I'd really want to go down the path that he did. But it's an interesting path to read. But I don't think I want to walk the same path. I don't know if I really have an author that I want to emulate, though.
Yeah, I don't know. She asked me like random questions that were different than what I would expect. Like she asked more about me and less about my book. where I just really sold her on the book, and she's like, okay, I want to read it, and I'm just like, oh, and then she started asking me like, what do I do for a living, and just random stuff. I'm like, what are you doing, AJ? Ask me more about my book. I know lots more about it than what I just told you.
I guess she was trying to get to know you as a writer, right?
Yeah, it was strange. And then I'm like, yeah, I sit in SQL all my story, and then I write like 8K outlines, and I'm like, I know that's a lot. She's like, no, that's good. So I got like a pat on the shoulder for being a crazy plotter.
Well, I'm sure that's way better than her having to deal with someone who doesn't have a plot at all.
Yeah.
Which happens.
Like, I don't get how, like I told you how I was doing the like critiquing for people, and one of the things she's doing, like, I will make comments. She's like, I'm gonna move this chapter over here, and I'm gonna move this thing over here. I'm like, what? You can't move things. How can you move things? Like, I can move maybe like one or two chapters on my whole book, and it will still make sense. Like, things can't be moved. Like, it's impossible. I planned this way where things can't be moved around. Like, things have to follow in an order. So when she baffles me when she's like, I'm gonna move this over here and I'm gonna move this over there. I'm like, how is that possible? How can you possibly move things?
Or add a seed here.
Yeah, add scene here. Just add a scene. Like, you can't just add a scene.
Goes against everything that you stand for.
It does. You know, because Steven Sequel is very much a this happens, and because that this happens, this new thing happens. So it creates a really big like a chain link almost, so like a chain, so everything is interconnected to the next thing. So it's very hard to be like, I'm going to take this chain over here and put it here, because everything's flowing in a specific order. So to me, it's like I purposely design my chapters in a way that it's very difficult to move things around, because what happened before affects what's happening now, and what happened now is going to affect what happens in the future. But everybody writes differently, yada, yada, yada.
Man. You and your super plotter ways.
I just like my way the best.
As you should.
Yes.
Everyone should like their own way of writing the best, because otherwise, why are you doing it?
Yes. I think that's why there's so many like writer books out there, and why we consume so many writer books, because we're convinced that there's going to be this new way that's going to save us so much time. And but I think once you find a way, you kind of stick with it, and you just like, for a good many books, it's just going to work with you. And it's awesome to find a way and know that this is the way it needs to get done, in order to have a nice chain link story that can't be moved and you can't just add a scene.
It's true. I mean, and with me, I can just say, I'm going to add something later here.
More fun.
Maybe I'll tell myself in a line or two, I need to write something about, I need to write some more background here, or, you know, whatever, and I'll get back to it later. Because my outline is much more flexible.
It's not 8K.
Yeah, it's not a book unto itself.
Oh, Burgess, how do you do your outlines? What kind of letter pantser are you?
I'm in between.
Oh, that's right.
I'm a tweener.
Oh, wait.
I'm a plot or a pantslur. I don't know. I am what's called a loose outliner. I outline the three main acts. I outline the characters, and then like the chapters. But I only do, like, some of the chapters only have like a few sentences, and then other chapters are more in depth, because those are the bigger ones, like the ones that lead to the smaller things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't outline scenes at all, but I do a lot of character character profile stuff. I'm more of a character-based writer.
Yeah. I like my characters too. That's why I like them to suffer so much. Because I love them.
Your love sounds painful.
Uh-huh. Best kind of love there is.
But I remember, Burgess, you've kind of been developing your way of doing outlines since you started doing YouTube, or at least that's when I saw you developing and figuring out your path, which has been really cool to see. You guys should check out everybody's channel here, by the way.
Yeah.
I started out as a pantser. I was a hardcore pantser. I mean, the only time I ever wrote outlines was when I was in college and high school, when I was writing essays and research papers and stuff like that. And when I did those outlines, you know, I did, like, I would do a big list, like a brain dump, and I'd have, like, checklists and, like, to-dos. I'd have squares and circles and dashes, and then I would do, like, arrows, and then by the time I was done, I'd tick that, and then I'd condense it down into something smaller that I could actually read that didn't have all those arrows and dots and crap on it. And I actually do something very similar for my novels. So, but I really enjoy writing using the tarot and the hero's journey, which is why I can say the outline chapters, the hardcore ones, because they have like things that are supposed to happen in the hero's journey. Not all of my novels are going to have happy endings, but I might have to throw a tragedy in there, you know.
That's the...
I have a lot of fun outlining with the tarot. Huh?
Amy, were you saying something?
Oh, I was just saying, I think she said tragedy, and I was like, yes, root tragedy. I can kind of also say that Jasmine, the coolest fan ever, you guys should be like Jasmine, is saying, well, she gets inspired by Lauren Oliver and the style of writing from the Delirium trilogy. So if you want to be cool like Jasmine and be an awesome Write Stuff fan, remember to treat us at Write Stuff using the Bird app called Twitter. FYI, guys. You know, everyone wants to be cool like her. I promise you.
And just in case you guys haven't checked out our channels before, I'm tweeting out the links to our channels so that they're available just for you if you would like to check us out.
I promise we're all very cool people.
Let's see. We're almost at the top of the hour. Do you guys want to go until the top of the hour or another half hour? How do you feel?
I have to go so that my dinner doesn't burn. It's been in the crock pot all this time, and it's pretty much done. So I have to go make my Burgess, and it's 9 o'clock here, so I'm eating way too late, y'all. But it's okay. Oh wow! I'll go walking afterwards.
That's good.
I did want to say one thing. If you're not real sure, like somebody posted a comment on one of my YouTube videos, they were asking a question about beta readers, and I referred them to the hashtag Write Stuff, and I told them Tamara had a Write Stuff chat about beta readers, and she put out some really good information, you know, and I think maybe in the files in Facebook for Write Stuff, if we could make a list of some of the things that you've suggested during the tweet chats for like beta readers or for outlining, if maybe we could put some kind of compile together so that we can do some of the websites, because you have made some really good references to things when we've done during the tweet chats. I'll be able to talk in a minute, I promise. I think that way we could give them access to a little bit better information, because I felt like I was like going, okay, well, I know we talked about it, but damn if I remember when we talked about it or where, you know, how I could tell her to find it easier.
I think that's an awesome idea, and we can also do like one for everybody that is in Write Stuff, maybe a link where they could all put all their official links, like their blogs and stuff, because writers need to support other writers, and that's what I think Write Stuff is really for. And I think that would be an awesome idea. I agree with Burgess. Cool idea.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, instead of going through each of the chats and pulling out that information, I will make a file that has the story files, and people can pull it out themselves.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, because
that's going to be a lot. Yeah.
It's like 2 years of chats.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to find some kind of easier way that people could search for something. If if there was maybe, some official site or something that would, I was like, I don't want to refer them to Facebook, and I didn't want to say, well, you can put in Google Write Stuff plus beta readers, and maybe you'll come up with it.
Yes. With Storyfy, that's storyfy.com, I have a profile on there, but I'm not exactly sure how people find me on there. I think that they may just search for my Twitter handle at @penpaperpad. But like I said, what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll be able to, like, let's say, make a file in the Facebook group, and it'll have like the name of that Twitter session and then the link to the story file so people can refer to it, because each name has the overarching topic in it. So if people are interested in learning more about beta reading or more about working through the middle of your novel or motivation or any of the other plethora of topics we've covered, they'll be able to do that.
Well, I remembered specifically talking about beta readers and critique partners and things like that. So that one, I knew there was like a specific day that we had talked about it. I just didn't remember what day. But I think that those tweet chats, and I've missed quite a few of them because Mr. Rockstar has changed his schedule, and it has just really thrown me for a loop the last few months. But he's on a rotating shift. Like, he's at work right now. But it makes it a lot better when you're going on there and you're like talking about a topic, and then you put up this awesome website. And I've got like 5 different tabs open where I clicked it. So do you know? I mean, I have a ton of it bookmarked. Like, I have a lot of it bookmarked in a writing folder for writing advice and writing resources. But I was like, well, I can't give her my bookmark.
Yeah, actually, here it is. It was beta readers and you. That's what I called that session. I'll tweet that out.
Yeah.
So if she's happens to be watching, not saying that she is, but
she should be if she wanted to be a super fan like Jasmine.
She actually talked to Tamara last week. She was asking some questions, and I referred her to Tamara on Twitter.
Hmm.
So,
I remember her.
Blogs and stuff like that. I think Lady Elizabeth or something. Elizabeth Wright. I can't remember something. I'll think of it in a minute. I'm so hungry right now. It's just not funny, y'all. But
Oh,
I referred her on Twitter to Tamara, and Tamara handled all of that. And I was like, okay, good.
yeah, I wasn't sure if I was actually very helpful. She was asking about like websites and places to buy your what's the word? Like using GoDaddy or going through WordPress or whatever. So I was just like, well, here's my personal experience. I don't really. I'm definitely not an expert on that, but here's what I did.
I've got Bluehost, and I need to call them because I need to set up my website so that it has different sections where you can actually put blog posts or posts for each section, where I don't have, like, I don't know, like where if I make a post and it has to do with art journaling, it can go in the art journaling. If you post about writing, it can go in the writing section. I don't even know if that's possible.
I'm sure it is. With mine, it's the theme that I have for my website. I'm able to create different tabs so that you can click on a different tab and have that specific information there. So I'm sure there's a way for you to do that too with your site. What's your URL? What's your address? I'm going to tweet it out.
The Write, as in WRITE, BurgessTaylor.com.
It's fine.
Because there's a photographer.
There's a
photographer who has BurgessTaylor.com. I think he's in like California or somewhere.
And Amy, you'll be reading your website later, right?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, I wanted to get it, and I'm trying to work with it. People have found it, which I am amazed that people have found it, and they have already asked me questions, but right now it's a secret. But if you find it, that's cool.
I gotta get going, y'all.
Okay, bye, Burgess.
It was good to talk to you.
Yes. See you at the
Good
next
to talk to y'all.
hopefully.
Enjoy your dinner.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yes, it is chicken and potatoes and apples with white wine. And then I'm going to make some asparagus.
Nice.
Gotta love a crock pot.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I keep on like, my mic is right here, and I'm like, what? I'm trying to look at the thing below it, and I realize I could just move the page.
I tried to open TweetDeck so I could have it running during this thing, and instead it has frozen, and then it has kind of stopped the Google Hangout from me being able to see you guys. So like my Google Hangout screen is just a big white screen of nothing, and it's all TweetDeck's fault. I knew there was a reason that I didn't run it while I did the Hangouts. I've forgotten. So do you want to chat for another half hour, or do you want to end?
I think it's best if we just end. Sorry, but I got me those 12 chapters that I have to fix. You know.
Oh no, it is absolutely fine.
Yeah,
like I said before we started.
Yes, I'm one of the people who did not get done early, like I did with my NaNoWriMo, because I was editing and not feeling well. So that's the way it goes. But I am currently creating our Arthur pages with all our links for the Write Stuff people, because I'm handy like that.
Cool.
It's FYI. I don't know if it turned out okay, but people can write on it, hopefully. Okay. Should we sign off?
Yeah. If anyone has a theme that they would like for us to cover for Write Stuff, each month, at least I've started for 2016, each month has a different theme. So if you're interested in a theme that you'd like for us to cover, please let me know. Tweet out at #WriteStuff. Thank you so much to everyone who has chimed in and who has watched today and throughout this month. I really appreciate it. I know that Amy does and Burgess does as well. So #WriteStuff tweet chats happens every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Find us on Twitter. I've tweeted out our Facebook and our Google Plus groups. So whichever is your flavor.
We'll have it down below too. I'm making Tamara do more stuff. I'll have it down below with her thing. If you're watching this in the future, hello from the past. So things will be down below in case you missed it. So thanks everybody. Check me out. I'm usually on YouTube and I do writing and fashion things, which is fun. You should see my channel, and I will soon be posting more cat videos, because I'm this fashionable and at a cat cafe. So those are always fun. People like cats.
Gotta love a cat.
Yes.
All right, everyone. And my YouTube channel, if you're looking at this, then you are probably on my channel, but I talk about books and writing. And next month, I'll be going home to visit my family and friends in West Virginia. So I'm probably going to be filming stuff there. I don't know what, but
What's in Virginia? Like, some like, not cows. Cows in Virginia? I guess there's cows somewhere.
West Virginia, there are a lot of mountains.
Mountains. There you go. Mountains.
It's like entirely in the Appalachian mountain range.
Oh, it's so like up there. I'm just like, what's that? I'm in Texas where it takes like 5 hours and you're still in Texas. You've been driving for 5 hours. I am still in Texas.
West Virginia is like in the middle of 5 states. And then here in Hawaii, if I drove 5 hours, I would be in the ocean.
Yeah. Isn't it like your whole island like 45 minutes just to go around the whole entire island?
I think the round trip is 3 hours maybe.
Oh, like
driving around.
Oh my! Like to get to my parents, it's like 5.5 hours.
That's wild. Texas is huge.
It's way too big. It should just be not as big. I don't know.
Well, thank you everyone for hanging out with us. Meet us on the YouTubes or one of the various places that we've mentioned.
Yeah.
And we will see you in the next video.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I know. It's still alive. Okay. I want to go now. Look.